Hey everybody, this is our first podcast, just kind of getting together and laying down a few things. There's a lot of questions that people have in general to say, well, how do I get X, or whatever it might be. And there's just a lot of questions, and it always kind of goes back to one thing, but this one thing doesn't always give you the clear picture. It's a process to go through. And we're just going to talk through it a little bit and kind of some of our personal experience of what led us to today. But the one thing that is the most important thing is desire. And it's not just any desire, because everybody can say that they desire something or they want something and then nothing actually happens. It's like the true burning desire. If you've ever listened to Napoleon Hill, which I think most people in personal development have, because he's kind of the guy that put out a lot of information. There's, I think, almost every known personal development trainer will reference Think and Grow Rich or some of Napoleon Hill's work. And one of the one thing that he concluded after 20 years of researching the titans of industry to figure out how they did it, what was the key thing? And this was something put in action by Andrew Carnegie, where he put Napoleon, he like basically contracted Napoleon Hill to figure out, hey, what makes us and these other guys successful, like Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, himself, and many others. And so he kind of secretly went out and figured it out. And after 18 years, Napoleon Hill said he almost missed it. And what he said was, and just to make it simple, is to have a dream and get a burning desire for its achievement. And so to say I want something is one thing, to have a desire to get it is a whole nother thing. And if that desire is strong enough, you will move mountains in order to get it. So that's what we're going to talk about, and just reference a few things, because Jen and I both had a strong desire to get a relationship that we enjoyed, that we loved, that supported, that felt right. We have desires of making more and more money all the time. We have a desire of having a family. We have a desire of being a positive impact on other people, and many other desires that come into that. And there's a lot of things that just really play out. That's like, what actually makes the difference? What goes from wanting and running your mouth and nothing happening to actually taking action and doing something to get a different result? And Jen, what for you, what is the thing that like turning point that you think is, what changed from the time of saying I want something to like, now I'm going to do something?
I think what changed for me, like the turning point, was there was just so much pain of where I was at.
So you're going to say that pain strengthened your desire?
The pain strengthened my desire. I'm pretty sure that's the way it went.
So it's like clarity, because a lot of I think anybody listening is going to be like, wait, you're telling me to feel pain? Like, what's give a little more, maybe some background on what you dealt with and what you went through.
Well, when I was living life and just going through the motions, I had dreams and wants and desires and goals of just more. I wanted more. I wanted to feel better. I wanted more money. I wanted more freedom. I wanted more happiness and fulfillment. I wanted all these things, but I never took any action to move towards any of it, really, because at the time back in the day, I was just so comfortable. Even though I wanted more, I was comfortable where I was at, and so I never actually did anything or took any drastic measures to make any change. So it wasn't until, really, like I said, when the pain of where I was at got big enough,
So
meaning
yeah, so what made you uncomfortable?
what made
Like
me.
yeah, you said you were comfortable. What, it sounds like nothing really changed other than your mindset.
Yeah, I guess like I was comfortable, but I still had this like burning, it was like a burning desire that I wanted more. And that desire, I guess that became so much stronger than, where I was at. Even though I was comfortable, there was still pain there because I wanted more.
So I mean, I can see everybody agreeing with that to some degree. But to just dig in a little bit more, what was it that was showing you that there was more, I guess, more to be had?
Well, I mean, I really like at first I didn't really know what I didn't know, but I just knew like I had this feeling that there was more to life than the life I was living. And I think it was when I actually started seeing it with my real like my eyes, like in other people having the life that I kind of wanted, then it was like, oh, like I can actually like it's real.
Yeah, like if they can do it, then why can't I do it? Why can't I have it? So one of the things was getting around or being around other people that you begin to notice, wait a minute, um, what are they doing versus what am I doing? And I like that. I want more of that. I don't like where I'm at right now. And I mean, I could agree to that. There's a certain point where looking around and saying, I don't like where I'm at, and then feeling the pain of it, and the pain actually strengthening the desire to say, this is bullshit. I don't I don't want this. I want that. How do I get it? And rather than just, telling a good story of this is what I want. And this isn't something that was just like overnight where I looked at something and I said, oh, hey, I like that. That's cool. How about I just go over there and do that? No, this was like years probably of looking at something and saying, you know what, there's a better way of doing this. And if they can do it, why can't I? They've done it right in front of my face. So why can't I? And then getting to the point of actually understanding that, like, hey, there's more than just a follow somebody here. There's like entire like worlds of education and ways of changing who you are to get it. And just but I mean, one of the biggest things that I've done was just found people that I was willing to follow, and I followed them. I plugged into their system and I just kept going, and I kind of chased what they were doing, learning what I needed to, and then the next one and the next one and the next one. And when I get around any successful person, I always ask detailed questions because I am more curious in how they establish the desire than what they're doing. A lot of people will just be like, well, what are you doing? I want to do what you do, and this, that. And my mind just says, what, where were you when your desire got strong enough to change all of your behaviors? That's what I want to know. And almost always, like always goes back to, well, my life was an absolute disaster. Like, I was done. I was dying. My relationship was ending. I financially was going bankrupt. It's like those stories, the most successful people, it's always those stories. And you know what? I just said, this is what I'm going to do. One of my friends was a drug addict, right? Completely addicted to drugs, and decided this is going to work. Went into rehab, completely changed everything. And I mean, making millions of dollars now, doing amazing things globally to just serve people and help people. And it was that darkness that actually took away all the other BS and gave them clarity on what it is they want. Now, I mean, so if somebody's just kind of somewhat comfortable and they're starting to think of, maybe I want something different. What do you recommend they do? From like, I know what I would recommend. What do you recommend?
Would recommend that if you are feeling comfortable, if you're comfortable, but you know there's more out there for you, I would recommend to start leaning into that feeling and choosing to lean into that feeling and listen to what your heart is telling you, because the longer you ignore it, the louder it's going to get. And so I just know that, now it's like it gets loud. When I say it gets louder, it's like the whisper or the pain gets louder until it pushes you to move. Because a lot of times if it's on your heart, you know, that is like you're speaking, this is what I want. And if you continue to ignore it, um, you'll just keep getting signs saying, you need to move this way, you need to move this way. It'll just keep getting louder. And typically the pain gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then finally, that's when it like they say, it takes a rock bottom to get someone to actually change. And so I say, when you first hear it, something's on your heart, lean into it and don't ignore it. Because once you hear it on your heart, that really is your opportunity to start making change. And every time you ignore it, it's just like, that's how we get stuck for so long, is we just continue to ignore until the pain gets loud enough, the whisper turns into a yell, and it's like, you need to move because you can't take it anymore. It's finally time. And then you're like, oh, okay. But I would just say, lean into it and take action.
Yeah, I'm a lot more aggressive in this. Okay. You can play that part out, right? You can basically put a desire out there and then eventually wind up at rock bottom because you won't stray from comfort. And typically this is kind of how most people, maybe not you, but most people will manifest change in their life. They will put an intention out that says, I want to make more money. So the first thing that happens is God, the universe, gives you opportunities that they introduce you to people, places, things, events that where the opportunity is there. However, if you're not looking for it, you'll probably ignore it. You might even push it aside. For example, someone might say, oh, I really would love to make more money because I want to get a new car, new house, or do more stuff with my kids, or whatever it is. And they'll get excited about it. And what's happening is they're putting off this energy, and this energy starts to move all other energy. It starts to create and move mountains, essentially, to say, like, okay, well, and then it will send you a person, and this person might be a passerby, and they maybe say hi in public, and you don't even know who they are, but you're so focused on life, comfort, or your own problems that you don't ask the question of, or say, hi, who are you, and engage a friendly conversation with great energy, kind of with that energy that you had before, saying, I'd really love it if I did this thing. And you'd find out that that person is actually looking for you. Like, you are the perfect person for their business. Let's say you're working for somebody and you're the perfect person that they're looking for, but the conversation never even gets started because you're too caught up in your triggered state of comfort. And so you miss out. So then the next thing is there's something else that happens where maybe a job opportunity comes along, and then you're like, yeah, I should do that, and you start filling out the resume, and then you start second guessing it, and then you start worrying about it and everything else, and I don't know, then you start second guessing, well, what if I apply for that job and my current boss finds out, and then that causes a problem, and now you're talking yourself out of it. But you've already put out the intention, you've already put that into play. Like it or not, it's coming to you. So typically what the majority of people do is they play this part out, and then eventually what happens is they get fired, or something, or their job goes away, or they get laid off, or something crazy happens like COVID, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, like, I put this out there that I wanted it, now like none of this stuff works, it's never, like, everything's failing on me. It's like, no, like, you put it out to the universe, to God, it says, hey, I want more. And so he said, okay, here's a person. Oh, you didn't listen. Okay. Here's a job offer. Okay, you didn't listen. All right, well, you're not listening, so let me smash you in the head with a 2x4 and get you removed from your position so that you can see what I'm trying to give you. And then this is the cycle, and then pretty soon rock bottom hits. And what typically happens with the average person is they put out a higher frequency intention to just get back to where they were, and so then they get their job back, and they kind of get back in life, not even understanding that they just screwed themselves, essentially. And so you have to remember that when it's time to move, you got to move. But my point is, rather than wait for rock bottom, burn the freaking ships. Say, I've had it, which means you have to, in your perception, in your mind, destroy that as what is good. Destroy it, burn the ships. You may say, okay, well, I've got a great job I'm making, I mean, you could be making 6 figures a year, or more or less, or it doesn't matter, but you're comfortable, and you're comfortable. You have to create a space that says, I am no longer comfortable. This is not where I want to be. Cause some internal pain and struggle that then gets you to go deep and say, what do I want? Because it's not about saying what I don't want. It's about actually saying what I do want. But in the beginning, kind of holding your feet to the fire, saying, this isn't going to cut it. And a lot of major successful people at some point will let go of all of that comfort and take a risk.
That's what I'm saying. Like, lean into the feeling before the rock bottom comes, because if it's on your heart, if you don't lean into it, it will, what you want will come. And typically when you're ready for it, the universe wraps it up in a pretty little package that looks like a rock bottom. So if you just lean into the feeling, you don't have to wait for the rock bottom. You just take action right when it comes, and you just keep moving forward and listen.
Well, one of the things you keep telling me, because I like the battle. I do. I'm a guy. But she constantly will tell me, it can be fun. Just this little reminder, it can be fun. And it can. You can still go to the point of saying, I'm not comfortable with this, but I want it to be easy. I want it to be fun. And so then you begin to put out this energy of like fun and easy, fun and easy, fun and easy. Even though I know what I don't want, I will also want it to be fun and easy. So God, bring me the opportunities that I will grab. Bring me the simplicity that I can, that it can be given, because it's really just a choice and perception of your own internals. Now, I know my internals, I like battles, so I'm going to look a little bit for challenges. It's kind of more fun for me in some ways. And sometimes might complain about it, but the reality is, if it was just super easy and lovey-dovey, I wouldn't be entertained by it. Now, for her, it's completely different. She doesn't want to battle. She's like a loving, beautiful woman. And she wants to be at peace and let it flow and bask in the light of that. Like, look at what God just did for me. My life is amazing. Right? Like, that's I watch it, I see it, I know what she's manifesting when it comes in, and she can see it in me. So the big thing here is understanding that your desire is what's going to get you to quit doing what the habits and behaviors. There's things to remember, phrases that are, if you want things to change in your life, you're going to have to change some things in your life. It doesn't have to be major things. It could be little small steps. There's behaviors that I will look at and say, okay, if I implement one thing to create a change later, what's one thing that I know if I continue to do day after day after day will get me a result? And with my body, where it started was first my mind. I thought it in my mind. And then pretty soon I said 20 push-ups, 20 push-ups a day. And 20 push-ups would usually lead into 20 push-ups, 20 sit-ups, that then led into working out, that then led into something else. But it was just like micro changes to move energy, to stack the energetic bank account, to say, I'm going to manifest something different. And I'm also going to create some of these behaviors for permanent, so that I become something different and never really return. So there is no real rock bottom for me. It might be a rock bottom for my current glass ceiling or whatever, but the reality is if I were to fall back to where I was 20 some years ago, it's like one day that I'm out of the pit, because I can make things happen so fast. So anything you want to add to that?
Well, it just makes me think of about 10 months ago when you were manifesting more joy into your life, and then I walked in.
Yeah, there is, like, I've been through a lot of different stuff, but one of my big things at that point was like I really was focused on more enjoyment and just having more joy in my life, and I still have to kind of focus on that. Just under it's one of the things that constantly comes into my mind is the scriptural verse, and I can't quote it, but it was when Jesus was talking to Mary and Martha, and Martha starts complaining about Mary not helping out, and she's doing all the work and everything else. And she's like, aren't you going to say something to Mary that she should be helping me? And Jesus just said, no, she's doing what she's going to do. She chose an easier path. You chose the work hard path. She chose the sit here and listen and be taught path. It's just a different, like they're equal and the same as far as your energy in it. And it's like you can choose to make it difficult, or you can choose to make it simple and easy. But what you can't do is go against your own internal programming. That's something that it takes a little bit of work to change if you want to change it. And for me, I went from, you know, being a kid, being very skilled, easy to make money, procrastination type stuff, whatever, to saying, no, I have to work hard, then becoming a workaholic, then figuring out like, that's not the greatest thing either. And kind of trying to figure out how to not have a life of, I need thinking that I have to work really, really hard to be super, super successful. And it's like, well, it it might be hard work to some people, but the thing that's going to make me super successful is the thing that actually comes natural to me, and I love it. And one of the things that I love is I love doing this. I love talking to people. I love helping people, seeing people get aha moments and that watch their life change. There's uh, nothing greater, and this isn't like a prideful thing. This is just a internal warm thing, that when somebody I had one conversation with a year later, I meet with them, or we have a conversation, they're like, yeah, you said this to me and it just changed everything. And I went out and I got a better job and I started working out and I did this, and their life is like way better. And I'm like, I didn't even know. And just like that's cool when that happens. I love that. And I also making deals. I don't care if they're small deals, big deals. I love making deals, and I want to make like big deals in aspects of big real estate, investments, things like that. And so I'm looking forward to doing more and more of that all the time. But there's a lot of different things I do too, and I still try to enjoy as much as I can. But my goal is to find enjoyment, because if you can't enjoy all of it, even the down times and the up times, you're not going to manifest it. So the point for me personally is to enjoy all of it, to find joy as much as I can. And if I'm not, then I'm going to do something. I'm going to disrupt something. I'm going to say, like, you know what? This customer can wait. This person can wait. Like, I'm going to cancel my meeting with you because I don't feel joy right now. And I'm going to go do something for fun. And then I'm going to come back so I can serve everybody better, which in turn, I will manifest a better life and more money and et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of one of the pieces. But, when I first really started looking at that and said, this, like, I've ran myself into the ground. I've been trying to build this business. I ran myself into the ground again. They're like, dang it. I just have to really focus on joy. Well, what happened shortly after that was my marriage ended, and like, I don't know, 8 weeks after, I met her and we started a conversation, and we're 9 months after, and now we're in a serious relationship, and I'm blown away by how much depth of thought and energy and desire that she put into it. And I know where it came from. I know it came from a dark place originally. I know it came from that, being isolated and pulling the curtains back, and sitting quietly by herself and saying, okay, this is what I want. And so never underestimate the power of pain. Never. It's don't sit in suffering to be a victim and feel sorry for yourself, because no one wants to hear that shit. Right? But when you can sit quietly and say, okay, what do I want? And in the depths of that energy and pain, it's very powerful. You get extremely clear. And when you get that clear, things happen fast. Like I said, my marriage ended, and within a month and a month and a few days, basically like 6 weeks, I had met her and we had a conversation. And it wasn't like I ended my marriage and went looking for something else. It was like my ex took off. She picked another guy, boom, gone. And I was like, perfect, get out of the way. It's okay. And there was pain for me. Like, I don't, even though I knew that I was manifesting what I needed, there was still, I don't care who you are, when your family and your home and everything that you have lived for and strived for gets ripped away, it's painful. But I practice what I preach. I did exactly what I would have told any one of my clients to do. And look at how fast it worked. And I just continue doing that. I don't concern myself with the day-to-day details. I concern myself with the end result that I want, which is my burning desire. So anything.
I think that was beautiful. I think it's just remembering that life is happening for you, not to you. And yeah, I'm very excited.
I think maybe
That was great.
maybe we'll stop it here because I think we've been talking for a while. So we'll cut it here and then, add to this. I mean, I'm going to be adding to this point because to me, you'll hear me say it over and over and over and over and over again, that the number one biggest thing is that you get a desire and you strengthen it, just like Napoleon Hill said. Have a dream and get a burning desire for its achievement. And a lot of people don't even know how to properly set that up. And so I do a lot of training around that over and over again, because I mean, I can ask you within probably 30 to 60 seconds, I can ask you a couple of questions and know whether or not you have a burning desire that fast. And if you don't, then what do you think I'm going to focus on? The number one thing that's going to get you your fastest results, period. That's it. And so I'm going to keep hitting on this, but at the same time, we're going to hit on a lot of other stuff, a lot of curiosities, people, things, that everything. So also, if you have any questions, throw them at us. We can talk about them. We can jump on here, have a conversation. You can get our take on it, our feedback on it, what we've learned, the struggles we've had. There's been a lot of life lived between the two of us, and also I have a lot of life lived between my clients that I won't name names, but I'll bring in a lot of context and people I know, my network, and different things like that. So,
and I would just lastly say that you can find us both primarily. Like I use Facebook mainly, so Jenn Lockhart on Facebook and Matt Grant on Facebook. Mac without a K.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not real vocal on social media yet as much, more in the training. There's, we have a membership that right now it's really cheap if you get in early enough, but it's going to build, it's very small right now, very starting out, like just the beginnings of the beginnings. So if you have interest in that, getting more one-on-one contact, then now's the time to definitely get in and then kind of watch yourself grow. And one of the cool things that I can very confidently say at this point, I've been doing this for 10 years, a little over 10 years, and trained a lot of coaches, coached a lot of people, and all the people that stick with me in my groups and my trainings that show up week after week after week, their lives improve week after week after week. And many, unfortunately, that leave and don't plug into something else, their lives go to shit in a hurry, like disasters. And it's like, just stay in, just plug into a system. I'm not telling anybody to just, hey, I want your money. Oh, I don't care. I want your success, but I'm going to charge you money. Like I can't do this without making money. But right now it's so cheap. It's like I'm pretty much working for free, but it's going to go up. So if you want, get in now, get plugged into a system, listen. I mean, I've said this before. I've spent over $1 million on personal development. So if you think our cheap membership, discounted down to $47 a month right now, that it's too cheap to get any value, you're lying to yourself and you're just going to miss out. And then someday you're going to be like, oh, I want in at $300, and you're going to love it even if you do then, but it is what it is. So your choice. You can just listen to these and get tons of value, especially if you implement any of it. Or you can join us and go on the ride of your life and have a lot of fun. So anything else you want to add to it, Jen?
Nope.
Okay, awesome. Well, you can look for our Evolution membership if you want, or you can just check us out online. You can follow this, subscribe to our information, our podcast, and all the good stuff. Hopefully you do. And I look forward to meeting you. I look forward to your success, and I wish you the very best in life and just winning. That's what I want to see. So have a wonderful day, and we will see you on the next round.
All right.